Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. A very warm welcome to today's live webinar hosted by the TCG CREST. We are truly delighted to have each one of you with us this evening, whether you are a student standing at a crossroads, a professional weighing your next move, or simply someone curious about where AI education is headed. You are in the right room, and your presence here matters. This evening, we gather around a very real and a timely question. Is an MSc in Agentic AI worth it? Rather than handing over all the answers to you, we have brought together the people best placed to have an honest conversation about it. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome our distinguished panelists this evening. Ms. Pallavi Jaiswal, who will be joining us in a bit, the Vice President, Industry Engagements and Services, SSF Global. Mr. Rakesh Sinha, founder and CEO of Quince Global. Mr. Sumit Dattagupta, Group CIO and Senior Vice President, Information Systems, HPL and MCPI. Dr. Abhishek Gupta, Assistant Professor, TCG CREST, AI Researcher and Educator. Dr. Saurabh Bhaduri, Assistant Professor, TCG CREST, Researcher in Scientific Computing and AI Applications. And Mr. Arnab Chaudhary, Market Entry Advisor and Director, TCG Digital. Each of our panelists bring a distinct and invaluable lens to this conversation, from academia to industry, from research to real-world deployment. We hope the next 1 hour leaves you better informed, genuinely inspired, and ready to make a confident choice about your future in AI. Before the discussion begins, I would like to let you know that this is going to be an hour-long session, and you can put in your questions in the question and answer panel. We will take it up after the interaction and answer as many questions as possible from our end. Without further ado, I would like to hand it over to Mr. Arnab Chaudhary for moderating today's session. Over to you, sir.
Hi, thank you very much, and good evening, everybody. And welcome to this Faculty and Industry Roundtable, if I may call it, on a question that many students, professionals, parents, and employers are asking right now: is an MSc in Agentic AI worth it? I think it's a timely question because AI itself has moved very fast. If you look back 2 years ago, most conversations were about generative AI as an assistant, something that could draft, summarize code, or answer. The next shift is agentic AI, systems that can plan, use tools, call APIs, remember context, coordinate multi-step workflows, monitor progress, escalate to humans when needed. I think the demand signals are very strong. If you look back some of the analyst report in recent times, Gartner says that agentic AI could eat up over 240 billion worth of SaaS business, putting it at risk by 2030. Because agents can complete tasks across multiple systems and shift value from interfaces to outcomes. Gartner also predicts that by 2028, 33% of enterprise software application will include agentic AI, and over 15% day-to-day work decisions may be made autonomously through this. At the same time, there are doubts. The caution signal is equally important here to note. Many AI projects are getting cancelled. And today, from our esteemed panel from the industry, we will get a further deep into that and understand what are the words of cautions there. Because of cost, unclear business value, or inadequate risk controls, these doubts are coming up. That means market does not and no more just need prompt users. It needs people who can bring fundamentals, engineering, workflow thinking, domain context, and governance together. So if I may say, agentic AI is the shift from AI that answers to AI that actually acts. The opportunity is huge, but so is the execution gap. That is why the worth of an MSc should be judged not by the level, but by whether it produces people who can build trustworthy, useful, enterprise-grade intelligence systems. So today we stand on a very unique forum, and we will examine this question both from both sides, from industry reality and academic depth. We'll ask what enterprises really need, what students must learn, what research still needs to be solved, and what kind of MSc experience can genuinely create career and societal value. With that, I will start with the panel. I'll start from the industry side because the value of any advanced degree must eventually meet the reality of work, clients' requirements, operational requirement, and should produce measurable outcomes. So if I may start with Rakesh, with your wide experience in GCC and enterprise transformation, you would have seen technology waves move from promise to scale. In GCC especially, the question often asked is whether AI should work or AI work should stay as execution support or move into ownership of platform products and outcomes. So, Rakesh, where do you see agentic AI creating real enterprise demand today? And what kinds of talent will be trusted to lead this shift?
Very good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible. And thank
Yes.
you, Mr. Chaudhary, for your question. And I take this opportunity to express thanks to TCG CREST for inviting me as a part of this interesting conversation. As you rightly said, I think there are so many discussions happening around AI. Everybody's talking about AI. So it is also about understanding the various types of AI and where we are talking specifically today about agentic AI. So I would like to shape my responses in that ring-fenced environment of agentic AI, if I have to say. Two, three interesting facts to place on the table as a part of the GCC industry, which we talk about, the Global Capability Center, which is at the core of economic growth of the country. What we are seeing, because we work with different GCCs, we are seeing that each of the GCCs are trying to ensure they are part of that agentic AI as an opportunity. We are seeing that the GCCs are actually looking at the budget when they're formulating their budget, a spend between, and depending upon the size of the GCC, a budget spend ranging from 500,000 to 50 million as a part of an annual budget on the AI. Having said all that, we are also seeing the GCCs of three different categories. What in my terminologies I call them as one, sitting ducks. They're just waiting and figuring out what to do. The second, where they are more like a window dressers. They have done some sporadic deployments of agentic AI and trying to leverage it from a showcase and headquarter point of view. And the third category, which is really deploying it and marching ahead as leaders. Now, the differentiation between the three is there are two kinds of challenges they struggle with. One is really understanding what AI will solve and solve from a business point of view. And the second, right kind of a talent who can drive that execution beyond just imagination. And in fact, what we are experiencing and seeing is there are real use cases. We are not just talking about the hype and the buzz now. We are really seeing a lot of these use cases, which is really delivering that impact. The difference in terms of the positioning which has to happen is it about the whole misconception that agentic AI is just about having some agents which you can do work versus they should start thinking of what kind of outcome it can deliver. Like when you talked about in your opening remarks, Mr. Chaudhary, I think the outcome becomes extremely important. And from industry point of view, GCC points of view, we are seeing this is being heavily leveraged in the areas like customer operations and services, like things like as simple like customer support resolution, claim processing, returns management, order status inquiries, etc., customer onboarding. It's working very well. Even it's working very well when we're talking about multiple systems, knowledge management. There's an SAP, there is a SharePoint, there's a Salesforce, multiple systems. They're not talking with each other. Sometimes you want a data which is more insightful. You are able to deploy agents to bring it from different places and synthesize the information and present it, uh, uh, which is more of a recommendation as well. Software engineering, we are seeing it is extremely being leveraged today, from writing code to test applications to even modernizing some of the legacy applications. It was always a sweet spot for finance and procurement and shared services, where things like invoice processing, contract review, vendor management, those are the areas which is absolutely becoming an opportunity, and a lot of successful use cases, case studies are available on that front. Cyber security, by the way, has become another major one where the agentification is really helping because it can do a 24 by 7 monitoring, investigate these incidents, send alerts, provide remediations, etc. And there are still a big bucket where organization, there are few who are really trying to experience it, but there are few are really far behind even in trying the agentification. There is in the areas like strategic decision making, more investment decisions, risk management, regulatory sign-offs. So they're still trying to see is it really working before they just move to that. And I think there are companies, I know a few companies where they have moved towards something called decision transformation, where the decision loop actually is closed through the agentic AI, and human in the loop has actually become pretty much from 95% to become a 5%. So that's a huge shift. 95% of human in the loop. Now it has become a 5% human in the loop and 95% of agentification. Second part of your question about the talent side of it, what the people should look at from the shift perspective. I think, and this is one of the biggest challenges when I was talking about these three things: the sitting ducks, the window dressers, and the marching ahead leaders. There's a talent gap. There's a huge talent gap. And why there's a talent gap is because of the combination the talent is required to come with. The talent is required to come with a combination of three things, in my view. They need to come with a business and business domain expertise. They need to come with an enterprise change expertise, which actually is focused on outcomes. And of course, which is the foundation, is the AI and technology expertise. Where we are seeing is there's a lot of limitation of connecting that business domain expertise with that technology AI expertise and that ability to drive those enterprise change to outcomes. For instance, things like somebody has to identify what is the ROI for this agentification and not just say, I will do a POC and I'll figure it out. How you look at those yardstick, you talked about measurements. Measurement is not about how many agents we have deployed and how many FTEs we have optimized, but really connecting with the outcomes in terms of either revenue or cost efficiency or a governance efficiencies, etc., which is important. And typically we call it, and I have a way of defining this in three circles, if I had to say that: uh, financial impact, experiential impact, and then there's a governance and compliance impact. So three outcomes. If somebody from an AI learning and students, maybe somebody who's taking something like MSc in AI, is able to connect the dots by saying whatever we are learning, we are able to make an impact, either a financial impact, experiential impact, or governance and compliance impact, you will find them extremely successful. And that is the need of the hour. That is the need of the hour when I say not about 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, but maybe for 3 to 5 years, I see that is going to be an extremely high demand as a part of it. I'll take a pause here for any further comments. I have few more thoughts, but I'll take a pause here in the interest of time and pass it back to Mr. Chan.
Thanks, Rakesh. You made my work simple because you actually categorize in the right buckets. And if I take a cue from what you just mentioned, I will categorize it into two major chunks. One is what does business get out of it? And the second is, do we have the right skill sets or are the right skills being built in order to bridge the gap between the business need and what AI can actually deliver? And you know, and I know, and all of us in this room would know that it took the digital evolution to take a long time to understand business from technology. You know, it was the era of ERPs. When they were coming in, they started understanding the processes, and then they were automation, and then there was a huge demand of people who, with domain knowledge within the technology industry, who were highly sought after. So, taking cue from the business expectation, if Pallavi is here, I would like to request her to give her perspective purely from a business owner. What is it that you expect from agentic AI? So on one hand, as Rakesh mentioned, that the obvious benefits that people normally perceive is operational efficiency because we reduce cost, we optimize resources. But hand in hand is the challenge on of, do you understand my business rightfully, and do you give me the ROI that I expect in a world which is transforming every day. So if you could highlight something, Pallavi, that will be great from that angle. She might not be here. Hello. Okay, we hold on to that, and I'll move to Sumit. And Sumit, you are you have been a well-known CIO for one of the largest petrochemical group in the country, and you have seen the evolution of technology for decades and more. Um, I would like to get your point of view from a CIO's perspective. What are the most promising agentic AI use cases, and what are the biggest blockers? Because even Rakesh talked about cybersecurity is a big thing to be looked after. There are integration issues, there are legacy system to be maintained, there are data quality issues, and above all, there are change management and ROI that is constantly being asked from an IT department. So, the most promising agentic AI use cases, if you could help cite a few, and the biggest blockers before they can be scaled up.
Okay.
Sumit.
Yeah. So I think this agentic AI per se is still in the evolution mode, I would say. So one of the basic things that what we have understood within the organizations when we embarked on this journey, it's a more of a technology and the domain understanding. Both has to go hand in hand. Otherwise, the real ROI in a sense which you are targeting will not be coming true. So what specifically is required for a matured organization to plunge into an agentic AI is to ensure that the last mile of digitization is there. When I say that means, in a typical organization, you will have SAP, doing a lot of this core function jobs. Then you will have a lot of MES, the manufacturing execution system in the factory, right from the e-logs, the permits, the safety applications, the quality applications. So all are generating data. Now you cannot leave any of them, unattended in terms of an automation. So once you have done that, then you build up a common database, and that's very important. And because without that common database with a referencing across the cross-functional identity, you will not be able to ramp up, in a sense of an agents, because agents also need to reason and they need to also find this knowledge base from where they're going to act. And the second stage is to build up a strong Gen AI platform. Because without that, because normally what we do is that we try to solve immediate problems which is there for us. Like for example, in our cases, we are running, I would say it's already formalized. We were initially, it was some sort of a pilot, but now it's formalized within the system. I'll give you some specific examples what we are doing. We have, a very large array of substations, and we have transformers to monitor. The earlier it was some sort of a manual, sort of an understanding in terms of based on the intuition, the transformers were monitored and the relevant steps were taken to see that unplanned downtime is not there. Now with the agentic AI coming into the picture, with Gen AI already built in across the pool and a network of these transformers, so what we have done is that now is that our users are spending less time in one collating all the structured and unstructured data, because there are a lot of unstructured data from DJ analysis, loop analysis, all those things that comes in the PDF format from a third party sources. And then putting that in some sort of an organized structure to evaluate what could be a early events coming from a disruption which could happen in a transformer. On that, these agents, because it's not possible for a human being, to monitor about 118 transformers with about 3,000 plus points and come out with a conclusion. Now, this agent does the whole job by itself. And not only that, it interfaces with the SFE to create those notification and generates those maintenance orders. So you can see what is the quantum of benefit a particular user is making. So it's not that you're making the human in the loop out of the context. The human in the loop is still there, but there's 4 or 5 steps which a normal human would have taken, made mistakes while taking it, that is removed. So this is one real example which we feel, is getting evolved in other areas. Like for example, our rotary equipments. There are a lot of areas where we felt that a vibration monitoring is a key to ensure there are no unplanned downtime. Now we have ring fence, all those rotary equipments with the vibration signature along with the process signatures into a seamless. Now, if you can imagine the quantum of data which is getting crunched, and then this agentic agents coming out and sending out the recommendations, like, this particular centrifugal pump needs some sort of a changeover. Now, one could have got it, one could have missed it. If you have missed it, then of course there is a slowdown, there is a shutdown. So these are some of the areas which is immediately getting a benefit out of this agentic AI. But one of the major part what we felt is that, there are enormous amount of use cases. Like for example, legal, we've automated our full legal thing, the contracting, everything is on this agentic AI platform. Even the HR, the recruitment and the onboarding is fully the agent, which there's no, a physical person from the HR doing all these things. But the main fact is that a person, when he engages in this agentic AI development, he or she would need to have some basic understanding of the ecosystem. When I say the ecosystem, is that because nowadays an industry like us will not, start from the scratch. We will either take up a platform, if it is a Microsoft Copilot or Cloud or something else, and then derive our use cases based on that. So this is one. Second part is very important is that the governance and the guardrails. So, when you implement a particular use cases, you have to ensure that the data, the corporate data is within the realm of your secured network, because that you cannot afford to get it to the outside world. So this is another aspect. How do you do it? And the third aspect, which is now coming up, is industry. Some of them, we are also thinking of building our own LLMs, which we call industrial LLMs. Like, for example, for us in a process industry, if we build our own LLMs, that can add more value rather than, taking I would say, a public LLM and then trying to synchronize it with our data sets. So I think there is also a feeling within the industry is that this LLMs, which is industry specific, is going to help in a major way and also will address the problems which are really, I would say, close to that particular industrial area. So these are some of these use cases. We are dabbling with some more, but what is preventing us from a large scale implementation is that we have to go and see, implement it, operationalize it, get the benefit out of it, and then get into other areas where there are possibilities for agentic AI deployment. Reliability is one such area which we are, taking up in a very serious way. In one of our group company in Garden Silk, even the sari design is getting through agentic AI, and that is giving us an enormous amount of new designs, new ideas, which we were not thinking about. Earlier, the designers were sitting and trying to find out which will be the best design, but now this is enabling them. So the human in the loop is still there, but then it is giving them a better idea, better designing capabilities from what was there before. Now, these are some of the areas which we are dabbling with. But yes, as we go ahead, we see there is a promise.
And if the ecosystem is maintained, and that's where, it's very important. We need trained guys for that. You need to understand that it is not only just a normal programming. So it's an understanding of this whole ecosystem where somebody will have to have a very good interface, knowledge also, because ultimately you're connecting to different isolated systems, coming up with a database, coming up with the synchronization of the database, and then try to see how the agents can benefit from that data. So that's very important from my side.
Thanks a lot, Sumit. I think you brought in a lot of very, very interesting use cases. And people on this call, especially the students or aspiring students, I think this is a very valuable input to even think how broad and how varied could this use cases be. But two very important points that you brought up. One is around if you don't have data, agents won't be trained and it will fail. So bringing all the data in a secured way and at the same time ensuring data security is critical. And then which of the functions are actually ready to go live with Agentic AI? That decision and understanding that purely from a business enablement perspective is very critical. And I think this is something that the students need to think about, that what is the next level of training or courses that they need to adopt or learn in order to get closer to business and make agentic AI business relevant. I'll move to Rakesh again, and delving into recent suggestions and warnings about agentic AI projects may not survive. Because one of the points, as you rightly made, are they business aligned? Are they delivering the right ROI? But also this huge cost that it entails in order for it implementation and rollout. The quality uncertainties, the speed, the scale, and if it doesn't scale, is my investment rightfully justified, and associated risk. So how should the students and young professionals learn to think about business value, not just technology novelty that I learned AI? Rakesh.
So thanks for that question, Adam. And I think as Sudatta was talking about the business context, all the examples he was sharing, I think all the examples were so much connected to the business and business domain, as you could see, even a designer example or even SAP example. One simple aspect here, which I think the students or any AI professionals needs to pick is to see how they can go close to the business and business domain and the business processes. If they're just only thinking as a technologist, they will have a huge challenge in terms of delivering that outcome or ROI by design. And as I was sharing, I think two quick things to share. I think it's an evolution as industry is doing. 20 years ago in our space, we used to be known as IT services, IT enabled services, ITES. And after 20 years, still a lot of people were saying ITES. So as an organization, what we did, we created a full framework around how this ITES needs to change to become what we call now is TIES, Tech Integrated Enterprise Services, because technology was always very fast moving and much ahead of the businesses. But the business processes were quite remaining far behind. And I think there's a need to see how they are not just enablers, but they work together. So technologies needs to bring the business and business process and make it integrated. And we created a full framework. And that is where we defined these three circles, which I was sharing, that financial impact, the experiential impact, and governance and compliance impact. So financial impact, things like cost. One of the biggest thing where the professionals do mistake is they only see cost efficiency as the financial impact. The cost efficiency is only one component of it. There are many components, like even revenue impact, right? The business market share impact, and so on and so forth, which also could be seen from the financial impact point of view. So they understand things like cost, quality, speed, scale, risk reduction, etc. And they put under these three circles by saying, whatever I'm trying to do and architecting, is it something which is going to make either a financial impact, not just the cost optimization, but a financial impact for the business, both the P&L and the balance sheet impact? Can I do something which is going to make an experiential impact, the stakeholder experience, user experience, consumer experience, internal customer experience, whatever it may be, how it's going to uplift the entire experience as a part of it? The third dimension is the governance and compliance, how we are going to bring reduce down the risk exposure down, and so on and so forth. Make sure 100% compliant, like cyber security, data security, like Mr. Datta was talking about responsible AI, how to put those guardrails properly that the business risk exposure is taken care of is going to be extremely, extremely critical. And in fact, as I was hearing Mr. Datta and Nabu, I was actually trying to create a quick acronym, which I think young AI professionals can very actively leverage what I call let's play. And play is an acronym, PLAY. So I was just noting it down. And I was saying play means the P is possibilities mindset. So can we have that limitless possibilities thinking by saying anything is possible? Instead of saying what AI can do, let's change the question by saying what business needs. And the business needs here is not just about problem statement, but even a intent and aspirational statement. That is a big difference now we need to make from a problem statement to an intent and aspiration statement. So possibilities mindset, if that AI professionals are going to look at, will be a huge difference. M stands for that learning continuously. It's a learning continuum, if I can say, that you have to keep evolving every time. So if you say, I've learned it and I'm done with it, it is not going to be good enough. How you find something new every day and make it as a part of it. That's why the courses like this could be of a value and there could be something more. And you have to just say again what I can do more and more and as a part of it. So learning continuum is going to be extremely important. And A stands for, I was just trying to say, architect accelerated impact. Extremely critical that if you're going to architect only a solution, but if it is not accelerated impact in this world of AI, everybody wants something tomorrow morning, right? And the last one, which is Y, is all about that yielding that results. So you need to have a yardstick to measure. So the yardstick to measure that result is going to be most critical one. So I would suggest that all the AI professionals and the learners should go and just say, let's play and do what I said. Let's have a possibilities mindset. Let's have that learning continuum and the learning curiosity. Let's have that, architecting accelerated impact. And last not least, why, which is that yardstick to measure that result. That's the way I was just thinking of whatever I heard so far. And I'm sure they'll be able to spot that connect with the business domain, connect with the business impact in these three circles, and deliver the value back to the business beyond just being technologist.
That's wonderful, Rakesh. And what a way to explain this on a Friday afternoon play. So I think one thing comes out very clear that without a business alignment and without understanding the matrices, no technology, whether it is AI or otherwise, will be of any value to business. So I think whatever the aspiring engineers and students want to learn, this is something that they need to be always aware of. Sumit, I'll come back to you with as is wearing your CIO's hat. When you evaluate AI talent, what would impress you more? A model knowledge, system engineering, domain understanding, governance awareness, or proof of having built something end to end?
No, I think it's a difficult question to answer because, if you see, we are recruiting management trainees nowadays, and most of the management trainees come with a basic understanding of Python, a bit of an interface idea, and also basic programming knowledge is also. Be it be, if it is computer science, fine, or be it be in other areas of disciplines, But what we do is that, because as a CIO, I'm not expecting them to understand the business acumen shift from day one, because they have never been into that sort of an understanding. So we depute them for 6 months in the areas where we have already identified there are, potential benefits through AI implementation, and we make them, work in those functional areas and try to evaluate what are those pain points that the users are facing right now, and how AI can reshape those pain points into some sort of a structured process, workflow, or as a knowledge database, And then what we also do is that in parallel, we also augment some of their, I would say, technical understanding in terms of the basic, way of interfacing the data, because you need to get the data in to get your agents or GenAI work. Then understanding of our own ecosystem within the organization, like we have SAP S/4HANA, we have a lot of e-logs, we have got MCube as our analytics engine. Then we do also have quality management system, we have process optimizers, we have HR system, we work on success factors, we work on Ariba. So, and then we have a compliance tool. So the understanding of this technical ecosystem is very much required. So the 6 months is a mixed package of understanding the domain, in which we feel there is a potential outcome. And also in parallel, they work on these technical artifacts to make themselves ready, in terms. And third, what we face is that I hope the course like this will fill in the gap, because they also need to have a very hands-on experience on those relevant AI tools of today. So that needs to be worked out. And what I would see in the curriculum, this is the best way for the people who will be here, the students will be here, to learn that particular outcome, because then we spend time in getting them onboarded in different AI tools, and then spend also time to make them the business domain and the technical landscape. Then it becomes a bit of a long drawn affair, in terms of how do I quickly turn around the potential use cases. So that is one which we felt, there has to be some, because what we do is that we normally take in people and then rigorously train them through some external, faculty agents and all, because there are a lot of other small certificate courses. But courses like this, which, mirror the industrial, I would say the enterprise requirement, can really help to make a person, he or she coming out from this course, ready to be deployed for the industry. And that's very important, because as an industry, there is always a pressure from the senior management to deliver. And deliver means, we cannot spend about a 1 year time to develop a particular resource and then come out with ideas and then implement it. So that is and in this agentic world, it's quite a time, we spend. I hope as we go ahead, specialized courses like this will bridge that gap and give industry ready resources who are, ready to get utilized, maybe in a couple of months' time with the understanding of the business domain. That's what, from my perspective, what we have felt across all these three organizations where we are, deploying this agentic agents.
Thanks, Sumit. That's very, very valuable. So, we need to think that AI is for business. Business is not for AI. So appreciation of the fact that end of the day, the business goals need to be met. And readiness with the latest tools and technologies and an architecture understanding would make a candidate more ready for organizations such as HPL and similar other large organizations. Having heard the industry asks, which is predominantly value, trust, integration, and outcomes, let us now ask what kind of academic training can produce that kind of professional. So I'll come to Abhishek and would say that a common misconception amongst the students and people who wants to learn AI in general and agentic AI in specific is just a chatbot with a few tools here and there. In reality, agents involve much, much more than this. It involves planning, memory, tool use, evaluation, reasoning, so on and so forth. So technically, what makes an AI system truly agentic, and why does it require rigorous training beyond short courses and tool tutorials? Abhishek.
Yes, thank you so much for the question. So, all of us here are familiar with some kind of an LLM chatbot, whether it's ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or so many others. So, the way these chatbots are generally trained are they look at massive corpuses of text so that if you ask it a prompt, it has the knowledge to generate the most reasonable answer to that prompt. Now, while the LLM chatbots are quite useful, they operate within their own limitations. They are only about text generation. Currently, we are living in this era of agentic AI, where these AI agents are much more capable than the LLM chatbots. What do these AI agents do? If we ask these AI agents to do a certain task, what they do is they can actually look at what they are being asked to do. So they're analyzing the problem. They can break that down into smaller problems, which individual agents are going to try to solve. They can essentially plan the entire operation of how to break down the problem, how to solve individual problems, and then once they get a solution, how do they integrate it together to form a single response or a single solution to the query that was provided to this agentic system. So this agentic AI system is far more complex than a simple LLM chatbot. They have access to memory that they can use. They have access to a wide variety of external tools. For example, if you ask it to uh, generate something that maybe normally a human would write a Python code and then look at the output of the Python code as the response to that query. A lot of LLM chatbots have the capability to do that right now. They have access to a safe environment where they can generate a Python code, run the Python code in that environment, and actually show you the output. So this access to memory, access to external tools, and the moment we're talking about agents operating in this orchestrated way in order to deliver a answer to a query, that means they are performing a lot of reasoning. Whenever we're talking about reasoning, then a lot of questions of uncertainty comes up because at any position, there are going to be a lot of options to perform. So how does an agent make a particular decision? There's going to be uncertainty associated with all possible decisions. How does it actually reason through all the possible decisions and the uncertainty associated with them? So all of these complex questions exist, and that is why whenever an agentic AI system is being built, they have to be evaluated rigorously. And that's a very interesting question on its own. Like, how do you actually properly evaluate an agentic AI system in order to actually get it to a state where you can actually deploy it? So these questions of evaluation and associated with it is, of course, questions of safety and control. Whenever an industry is setting up an agentic AI system, they must ensure that a lot of safety guardrails are present so that data leakage doesn't occur, so that the agents don't operate in ways that are harmful at the end of the day. So that means whenever in any industry, people are thinking about developing agentic AI systems, they need candidates with these skills. They need candidates who understand machine learning and probabilistic foundations enough so that they understand when AI agents have to reason about uncertainty. When are they failing to do so? How do we calibrate models so that they can work better uh, given the uncertain situations that they are in? So all of these require discussions on fundamentals of machine learning and probabilistic foundations. As we discuss more and more complex AI systems like LLMs and foundation models, these skills of how to pre-train them, fine-tune them, how does retrieval work given the context of a query, and overall, what are the limits under which they operate? The knowledge of these are extremely important to determine what is going on whenever such a system ends up failing, when it's not performing up to whatever we are expecting its performance, where its performance should be. So all of these foundational knowledge, along with the knowledge of performing experiments, evaluating systems, how do you connect enterprise databases, and then develop a system that works well enough that it can actually be deployed. So, and then additionally, along with the responsible AI guarantees, how do you ensure that any autonomous AI system will always act within safe, governable, explainable bounds? So developing those skills in a way that is closely associated with industry problems, that is what we are aiming to provide in this course. While roughly you might say somewhere between 50 to 66% of this course is on the fundamentals, which will also be developed in a very hands-on way on real-world problems. The remaining 50 to 33% of the course will actually be deeply connected with the industry so that uh, basically every candidate of the course, they will be actually working on real industry problems. So just that was an overview of what agentic AI is and what we're aiming to provide in this course.
Thanks. Thanks, Abhishek. And that was very helpful. How the courses need to be designed to stay relevant with what industry needs. I'm mindful of the time. We have just 3 minutes left, but I'm sure people won't mind giving a little more time to wrap things up a bit. But before that, I would like to go to Saurabh and ask a very critical question if he could answer this. So there is technology is changing rapidly, and so is the frontier AI. A course cannot only teach today's tools, and it must teach students to keep learning when the tools change and the technology evolves. So, Saurav, how can a one-year intensive MSc stay relevant in a field where models, benchmarks, agent frameworks evolve every other month? If you could wrap this up quickly, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the question. I would like to mention that the objective of this program is not simply to teach students how to use today's AI tools. So it's also about helping them to understand the underlying principles that make these tools work. So as Abhishek mentioned, that some of the concepts like linear algebra, optimization, probability, machine learning, representation learning, attention mechanism, reasoning, evaluation, systems engineering. So these are very relevant even when specific software platforms change. So let's say a student who learns to use a particular framework may struggle when a new framework appears after few years or few months. But however, a student who has basic concepts of the topics mentioned earlier, so they can easily adapt to the future frameworks that implement these ideas. So this program also emphasizes on AI systems apart from the specific models. So the students are learning the entire data pipeline, the APIs, the cloud deployment, monitoring, evaluation, and the integration into the real world organizational workflows. So these engineering principles are very, very much valid, regardless of whether future systems use different models or different frameworks. So therefore, the relevance of this one-year program does not depend on the teaching of the latest software. So it depends on the strong foundations, the practical engineering skills, the capstone project, and the ability to continue learning as the field is evolving. So I would say that the program is not only designed for today's AI landscape, but also to prepare the students for the next generation of intelligent systems.
Thanks so much. I'm mindful we have already hit 6 p.m. Any questions? Quick few ones that we would like to take from the participants, the students.
Yes, I think there is one question that we can see in the chat where they're asking that humans operate a little bit on what is taught to them in schools about things from books. And then as we go through life, we learn to assess people, situations, we take decisions, reading emotions, reading the room, etc., etc. So I think this was more of a comment than a question. But we do also have one more question, which says that the program includes a mandatory 60-hour capstone project described as a thesis grade. What does this actually mean in practice, and what does a student walk out of that capstone being able to show an employer? So if maybe one of our faculty members or someone from the TCG group could answer.
Yes, sure. This is a good question. The way we're designing the capstone project is to be integrated with the industry. So the project that will be assigned to them is not going to be an academic project that maybe we from the faculty are assigning. So the way it is being planned is either there will be associations with the industry so that they can work on data and problems that the industry is involved in. If the industry is present in Kolkata, then there's going to be a chance that the participants can actually go and work on premises with different companies. If the company that we are talking with is outside of the city as well, then we're currently working out arranging that kind of an arrangement where either the participant can go and work on the project data on company premises. Otherwise, if the company has, like, let's say, sensitive data which it can't really share, then we're going to establish a common platform with guardrails in place so that the participant can work on the company problem from the institute itself. So that is mainly the overall goal of the capstone project, to not let it be some kind of a almost like a textbook kind of a problem to solve, but instead they're actually working on a live industry problem, a problem that is a trouble that needs to actually be solved right now in the industry. So not only is this a project that will help them actually hone in the skills that they're learning in the course, but additionally, this is a chance for them to actually demonstrate to the industry as well the skills that they're learning in their course. And this is something that we are trying to tie in very closely with the campusing as well, so that if the students are working on their capstone projects with the industry, I mean, the best kind of feedback that they can get at the end of the course is people from the industry documenting the progress that they've made on a real problem, which is going to be more valuable than any kind of ideal, like a kind of abstract academic problem that we can give them. So that's something that is going to give a lot of value to their overall resume as well.
Thank you, Professor.
Thanks, Abhishek.
Yeah.
I'm sure, if more details are needed, Abhishek will be more than happy to get in touch with the person who's asked and give more explanation.
Definitely.
There is a few more questions, sir, if I may ask. If
Yeah.
If time persists. Yeah. So there is a question that if a graduate of this program walks into an interview at a GCC or a tech forward enterprise in 2027, what specifically should they be able to do in that interview that a standard MTech graduate cannot? If that can be taken by maybe someone like Mr. Sinha, would you be comfortable taking up this question?
Yes, this is the good one for you, Rakesh.
Uh, Sorry, I just got a little distracted. If you can repeat the question for me.
Yes, sure. So the question is, if a graduate of this program walks into an interview at a GCC or a tech forward enterprise in 2027, what
Mhm.
specifically should they be able to do in that interview that a standard MTech graduate cannot?
Three things. I'll repeat like a broken record if I have to say that. And I think I interview a lot of people even today and every day for the similar kind of roles. And what we are finding a huge gap is they're able to communicate the power of technology, what they bring. They're not able to connect to what they can solve, right? And what I mean here is uh, majority, and this is something which is very simple corporate practices, if I can say, the majority of the students who are walking in for interviews, they're not even aware of what this company offers. They're not even aware of what are the specific areas or the use cases where they can make an impact. So I think that connect, if they're able to establish when they walk in for the interview from somebody who is passing out of this course, I can share with you, we'll be delighted. The GCC industry will be delighted to look at them, right? If the GCC is offering a core engineering, then you should be having answers from a core engineering point of view. If GCC is offering a shared services, then have answers towards how you can drive an impact into the shared services. If GCC is offering an innovation hub on the AI and you can be a potential candidate for AI COE, then you should be able to bring some connect on that. I think that connect is going to be an extremely important dimension. And that's why when I think Abhishek was talking about that capstone project, I mean, my view is that as much as industry involvement or immersion, which is possible, you may find students really, really getting benefited. So it is not just remaining a tech lens to deliver a capstone project, but can we bring an enterprise lens or a business lens along with the tech? You will find a huge value to the program.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. There is a question in the chat which says like, is frontier intelligent? Or does frontier intelligence really mean some sort of an evolutionary frontier from the perspective of humans? Anyone wants to take that up?
No, I think Avi has this Avi Marathe, yeah, I think he's got a very interesting question. Now, what I will do is that I'll just give you some specific example, why specific courses like this, will evolve as we go ahead. What we did in our organization, we experimented because we do have a lot of, corporate chat. We do have, the outlook, the mails through which people communicate, a lot of emotions flowing around. Somebody is putting some hard bargain to somebody, somebody is calling up, all those things are there. Then there are official meeting records in the teams happening where there are a lot of crisscross connections happening. Then we do have structured reports, which are the corporate MIS through which the MOMs are getting generated. So we wanted to structure all these things, and for that, you need to build those relevant knowledge graphs built around it. Those are most of a behavioral knowledge graphs. And then you also build some sort of a knowledge graph based on the nodes and the rack, so that your retrieval of those information is quite fast to relevant. And then we deployed some of these agents on top of it, and there was startling, I would say, discovery which we got, which in normal human form or understanding we would have not got. It's like
how a particular area of function, like for example, the safety. For example, in our case, it was also the procurement function, how it behaved and how it went a bit in a different directions. Now that signals we could understand from this unstructured data which we are talking about. And you're right, this frontier intelligence definitely in some of way will be an evolutionary in nature, and that's the way to go, to get the real benefit of agentic AI as we go ahead.
Thanks, Sumit. So one thing comes out very clear that agentic AI will reward depth over buzz. And the real question is not whether AI will create opportunity, it is whether we are prepared deeply enough to be trusted with that opportunity. And that's what the industry is asking about. And I don't want to make promises, but this course is being offered by TCG CREST, which is part of a TCG group of companies, which has as diverse as petrochemicals on one side and pharmaceutical on the other, and digital in between, is an opportunity for the students to explore different business model and business cases and use cases as they learn agentic AI through this course, to get more aligned to real business world and the real business expectations. Thank you all our panelists, and to everyone who joined us. Please continue the conversation with TCG Crest team and explore the program details and application process after the session. Have a great weekend. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
If you may allow me to just ask a very important questions which some of the students have. Is that okay, sir, if I may ask?
Yes.
A lot of students are actually worried about the ROI on a rupees 25 lakh course that has no placement record yet. So without making promises, that we can't keep, what should we actually tell them about how to think about this investment decision? Anyone from the TCG group could take up?
Anuja, if you want, I can address this question.
Yes, please, sir.
Can you see me?
Yes, you're visible, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Prakash.
So thank you so much. So it's a very, very valid question. Now, when we compare our course, we are comparing with the overseas, education program. So let's see, when we talk about 25 lakhs, sounds like a large number. And until you compare it to the what the same qualification costs anywhere else in the world. Now, let's talk about a 1-year MSc in AI at a serious university in the UK or some other country runs between your roughly 35 to 45 lakhs tuition fees alone. And now you have to add 12 months of living costs, visa, currency risk, and all of them you are looking at 55 lakhs or so or more for the same credentials. Now, at TCG Crest is offering you a globally competitive program built to the same depth and rigor at a fraction of the total cost. And you are staying in India, you are inside the market, you are going to work in that market where you can go also abroad and explore your career. And another thing is that the curriculum is not designed for India, it is designed for the world. Now, when we talk about multi-agent system, autonomous reasoning, real compute infrastructure, a thesis grade capstone. This is not a certificate course with a brand name on it. This is serious research grade education in a specialization that does not yet have enough trained people anywhere in the world, let alone in India. So that is how this course is positioned. Okay. And one of the most interesting thing, if you see the TCG Crest ecosystem, we have a lot of for-profit entities. So our student will get a hands-on experience, like Mr. Arnav mentioned that petrochemical sector, your digital, your other complex technology companies, and also while TCG developed the course curricula, they are always in touch with Microsoft, EY, PwC, and many other large corporates. So this is one of the course curves that is developed in collaboration with the corporate. So as you know that we keep on saying that industry and academia is working in silos separately. So whenever a person after a degree they landed into a job, they face a lot of difficulties. It's in terms of adaptability in the corporate world. Now here the thing is that you are studying a course which is vetted and approved by an industry. Okay, so that's where the differentiation is. So one side you have a globally competitive course with a wide kind of your course material and so on. You are a part of an ecosystem with diverse areas of business, and also you have a collaboration with a lot of multinational companies and foreign universities. And then you have to look at the profile of your faculties. You have a great faculties across the globe who will train you for the upcoming evolution in the AI. So in that, if you consider all the parameters, this course fee will not look that big, and it will surely give you a proper ROI in a very short period of time. I hope I can able to answer your question.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. I think that must have satisfied the students out there. Yeah, I think, is there any other question that you may want to address, Arnab sir?
No, I had a few, but interest of time and in the Friday evening, I didn't want to hold people back. Maybe in the next webinar.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for attending, everyone. I would like to thank the speakers out here. And thank you so much for being a part of this session. We will keep you all posted for any upcoming webinar that we are going to host. Keep a tab on our social media channels as well as on your email. You will be updated on all the recent happenings at the TCG CREST very soon. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.